Welcome, friends of Japanese prints. Welcome for another edition of our video productions, the video productions by Ortolino.com. My name is Dieter Vanschura, and I'm the owner of the Ortolino company. We sell Japanese prints in weekly online auctions, and we produce these videos always focused on Japanese prints. Today, I want to present something special, pretty special. It's this print design in the background. It's a little bit unusual and it's rather rare, and it's also, by the way, not cheap. It's quite expensive in the market. The title is Fukuoka Nishikoe no Yusho in Bavarian style Japanese and in Bavarian style English. The translation is The Sunset Glow at West Park in Fukuoka. But what's so unusual about it? It's the artist. The artist's name, Watanabe Shozaburo. Are you a little bit familiar with Japanese prints, especially with the Shinhanga art movement? If yes, then of course you will now say, hey, Watanabe Shozaburo, that was a publisher, not an artist. And right you are, yeah. And this is the special thing about this print design. Watanabe Shozaburo, I don't know what kind of ambition this guy had, but he made two designs himself, yeah. He wanted to try himself as an artist, or I don't know what kind of ambitions he had, maybe the same that I had when I was 18 years old. I wanted to become an artist, and it was good for the world and good for me that I didn't realize it. Anyway, Watanabe Shozaburo made two designs during his lifetime himself, and this is one of them. And according to the book The New Wave, he carved the waves of the ocean himself. And he did not publish this print by the name of Watanabe Shozaburo, his own, but he took a pseudonym, Kako Watanabe. Watanabe is very frequent in Japan, so you can hide quite well when you use the name of Watanabe. He made the design, he carved, but the rest was done in the philosophy of Shinhanga art movement by the professional carvers and printers employed by Watanabe. And by the way, this print design, this specific print, we have it in the current auction, and it has a very famous provenance, the best you could imagine. It comes from the estate of Robert O. Muller, and to my knowledge, don't kill me if I'm wrong, I think it's the last copy or the last but one copy available from the estate of Robert O. Muller. Well, now let's take a little bit a closer look at that, explaining a little bit the character, the Japanese characters, and talking a little bit about the style. When you look at the foreground, the trees, they are actually designed and also executed in a somewhat rough style. You could even call it Sosaku hanga style. I think the book that I mentioned before uses an expression like that. And now let me get up so that I can show it better to you. Here, on the trunk of that tree, it's difficult to recognize, but carved into the block is the name Watanabe Kako, and here you have the Watanabe copyright seal. And on the left margin, from top down to right, that is the title, Sunset Glow at West Park in Fukuoka, Japanese of course, and below is the publishing date. The publishing date, Showa 11, and that is equivalent to 1936. and the day March 24, so it was first published in 1936, March 24. For those who are not familiar with Japanese prints, and especially not with Shinhanga prints, I want to talk a little bit who was Watanabe Shozaburo. Okay, well, let's first show an image of him. He was born in 1885, and when he was a young man at a young age, he worked for an export business. And pretty soon, I think he was 21 years old, that was in 1906, he established his own business, a print shop, a conventional print shop specialized on woodblock prints. And Watanabe was a good salesman. Some in the literature say he was a market genius. You must know at that time, Japanese woodblock printmaking, under commercial aspects, was really completely on the ground. It was completely down. It had been replaced by photography and by offset printing. And Watanabe Shozaburo, he had an idea. He wanted to make a kind of a renaissance with this old tradition. He wanted to keep the traditional, cooperation between publisher, artist making the design only, and professional artisans, carvers and printers who made, well, then the execution, the carving and the printing. And the publisher was responsible for selling, for the financial success. And his idea was, let's move Japanese printmaking, which in the 19th century was commercial art. It was not regarded as high art. Yeah, let's move it from a cheap product. In the 19th century, middle of the 19th century, time of Hiroshige Kunisada, a Japanese print did cost as much as 2 bowls of rice. And Watanabe moved it to a product of high art. In 1936, there was an exhibition in Toledo in the US organized by Watanabe, and we still have a sales catalog from that time. And there we can see prices for a print by Kozan or Hasui for $10. That is today the equivalent, roughly $400, $600. Yeah, and his market was not so much the domestic Japanese market. He exported it mainly to the US, but also to Europe, and he refined it. He added, well, features that he had seen from the French Impressionists, like creating moods, creating impressions by playing with the effects of light, by adding shadows, by adding perspective, all things that the old Japanese prints from the 19th century did not know. Watanabe was successful. And by the way, he had never been outside Japan. Yeah, he was the master in exporting Japanese prints to the US and to Europe, but he had never left Japan. And when he died in 1962, this marked basically the end of the Shinhanga art movement. We've come to the end. I already told you we have this print. Interesting, very rare. We have it, I think, in the current auction. It's also shown in a book by Rachel Stevens, Amy, The New Wave 20th Century Japanese Prints from the Robert O. Muller Collection, London and Leiden, Bamboo Publishing Limited, and Hote, ISBN number. You can find that. Go to Google, Watanabe Shozaburo, and there you will find an article by Ottolino in the reference section, while you find also the ISBN number. Well, thanks for watching, and yeah, let me finish by telling you something. I told you we sell Japanese prints, but in contrast to many other auction sites of Japanese prints, we do not sell own prints. We have no inventory. We work like a conventional brick and mortar auction house regarding the prints we offer. They come from real consignments, not from our stock. And these prints that we offer are consigned by collectors like you, also dealers, quite a few dealers consigned to us, and partly also by contemporary artists. So if you're a collector and want to sell your collection, I think Ortolino is a good option for you. Okay, now we really finish. Well, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you for our next video. Goodbye.